Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
What do the many details involved in planning a golf trip to Ireland have in common with the many details you need to consider for a worry-free retirement? Well, let's find out.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
On a recent golf trip to Ireland, I had the good fortune of playing 5 different golf courses, all spectacular in their own right. Yet, of those 5, one course stands out as the most majestic course I've ever played, a course located on its own peninsula by the name of Old Head. As my favorite son-in-law recently discovered, Old Head is featured in the book called 50 More Places to Play Golf Before You Die. Uniquely situated on the Atlantic Ocean and located some 2 hours of a harrowing bus drive from our hotel, Old Head was worth the price of admission. As our golfing group was fortunate to experience great weather, for Ireland anyway, and some of the most majestic views on any golf course that I've ever seen, yes, even surpassing the views I witnessed while playing iconic Pebble Beach, I was taken aback not just by the man-made golf course plopped onto this brilliant piece of land, but more so by the way the trip was arranged in the first place. A golf trip that actually I had nothing to do with arranging. But there was one catch on one journey to play Old Head, and that was the journey itself. You see, the course at Old Head is not just a hop, skip, and a jump up the road, but rather miles away from anything remotely called life. To navigate your way to Old Head requires someone who knows how to drive a bus and knows how to safely get there on roads that are no wider than most one-lane roads here in the States. Our trip included a large bus that on many occasions had inches to spare when approaching oncoming traffic. And these just weren't any bus rides. In fact, the drive time from our hotel in Killarney to Old Head was 2 hours one way. So you can imagine the angst we 20 golfers felt as passengers riding along these roads we had never seen before. This journey to play some of the world's most beautiful golf courses reminds me of the journey savers must take to the destination we call a worry-free retirement, and all that will go into this financial journey and the need for someone else with more experience to navigate the course so that savers can quit worrying about things and just sit back and enjoy the ride. So let's give credit to where credit's due for this wonderful golf trip. I was so fortunate to begin and end, and let's take it through our 5-step decision-making process that we use at Tony Walker Financial to navigate our clients to a worry-free retirement. First, this journey to Ireland and whether I was going to sign up or not required someone to clarify the vision of what this trip and what I was to expect in terms of the golfing experience was all about. That would be a virtual golf club that I belong to called Epic Golf. It was Epic Golf who arranged the trip to Ireland and shared the vision of what to expect with me and the other members to see who might be interested in attending. They did so by showing me pictures, something I could see, plus they provided a well-thought-out agenda on what to expect if I decided to sign up for the trip. It was up to me to decide if their vision for this trip was my vision as well. And to be frank, seeing an aerial shot of Old Head got my attention as I visualized getting to play on this beautiful course. Then Epic proceeded to step 2 of the decision-making process, and that was to embark on the journey to Ireland, something I call the assessment phase. In other words, once I said I was interested in going, we got down to the brass tacks to see if I could first afford to pony up the funds needed to cover the cost of this trip, and second, if I could arrange my schedule to be gone for a week, as normally I don't take off that much time from work. Yet, seeing as though I really wanted to go on this trip, I decided to get off my wallet and trust my 19 full-time employees to take care of the place while I was away. We went on to step 3 of our process we call the commitment phase or onboarding, where I began to get all the details in place, which included giving my credit card to Epic to charge the trip on, arrange my airfare and flight details, make sure my passport was in order, load up on some euros, and make sure I had one of those plug-in things to adapt to my phone charger. Once all of that was in order, we jumped to step 4 called the implementation, which, just like we do for our clients at Tony Walker Financial, Epic took care of all of the details to make sure the trip was now in their hands. All I had to do was get myself and my golf clubs to the airport, board the plane, and sit back and relax. Finally, the best part of all, step 5, someone had to be assigned to monitor the week-long agenda of herding around 20 golfers to make sure all the details were in place. The hotel, the drivers of the buses, making sure the tee times were correct. Well, Epic was smart enough to find someone who knew the lay of the land of Europe on how to pull all this off, a little Englishman by the name of Jack, who just happened to be a 4+ handicap. The point to all of this, folks, is that with any journey in unfamiliar territory, yes, even retirement, you've got to have a process in place, and a process that's in writing, overseen, and implemented and monitored by a retirement planning firm equipped to do just that. See you through retirement, not just when you retire, but all the way to the ultimate destination. And that's what we do at Tony Walker Financial. We are specialists in the art of retirement planning. We know the lay of the land and have thousands of clients to prove it, which is why in our next segment, I'm going to share with you the 10 most important retirement planning tips savers should know before trying to navigate this thing called retirement. I'm Tony Walker. You're watching The Worry-Free Retirement, and yes, we will be right back. Having worked in the retirement planning field for 40 years, I know it's not just about how much money you've saved for retirement, but making sure you one day don't run out of money. That's where mailbox money comes in.
Mailbox money!
A reliable, lifelong income, much like the pension plans from the past. If you're interested in turning your 401k into mailbox money, let's talk. Just set up your free 10-minute phone call with myself at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here on the Worry-Free Retirement. I've got our next Tony in the Trenches right here, so let's get to it.
Our Tony in the Trenches comes to us from Cheryl in Louisville, who asks the following. Tony, I'm 55 and my husband is 57, and while we do not plan on retiring anytime soon, we realize after watching your show that we do not have a plan. I feel like we're starting from scratch. How do you assist someone like us who has no clue what we are doing, and what can we expect during our first meeting?
This is an excellent question, and although we're talking about ages of 55 to 57, the majority of our clients are closer to 60 and above. However, this does not keep us from trying to assist someone at this age range who may be still a few years away from retirement. Now, the key word here, I love how she put this, starting from scratch. So you might be sitting there thinking, well, I got a large 401k, I just got an inheritance. What do you mean starting from scratch? I think what she's referring to is the fact that many people that come to us, the problem is they do not have a game plan. So they watch this show or they listen to me on the radio and they hear this talk about a game plan. And yeah, they might have a 401k, they might have brokerage statements, they may have annuities, life insurance, but none of it's coordinated. They don't know when to spend the money. They don't understand the taxes down the road. They realize they just don't have a plan. So if that's you right now, if you're retired, retiring soon, or maybe in this age range, and you really want to meet with somebody, this is where we start. We call this the Worry-Free Retirement Starter Kit. Now, this can be downloaded by going to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. It's right there on the home page, or we can mail this to you. But this is the first step. So first of all, the starter kit asks for all of your individual information, your personal information. This is where we learn about you, your family, any personal needs for you, children, grandchildren. Again, I would be meeting with you in person to go through this. The second step is, along with that starter kit, included in there is a very important sheet of paper called the Documents Checklist. So we ask people to come in at that first appointment with me. It takes about 30 minutes. That we're going to go through everything. We're going to look at your Social Security statements or help you get those if you don't have them. I want to see a most recent tax return. People say, why do you want to see the taxes? Well, folks, if you're wanting to have a plan to save on taxes, I got to know where you are tax-wise. We want to see all the full brokerage statements, 401k statements, all of those things we look at. Again, it's like going to a physician and making sure that all the information is accurate. Now, once I have all that information, we move to our assessment, and that'll be our second appointment, where then we will meet and you'll get to see our wonderful proprietary software. Nothing like it in the industry, folks. This is not a retirement calculator software. You can get those anywhere. This is the plan we're going to use moving forward to help you navigate your future and to make financial decisions that are going to come up, changes that will surely come your way. So if you're looking at all this and say, yeah, I'd like to start from scratch too and get a plan and meet with somebody that knows what the heck they're doing, why don't you do the right now? Just take advantage of something we call the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. To arrange a phone call with me, you can either log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or give us a call anytime at 877-499-9255. Remember, there's no cost or obligation for us to visit about your situation.
Hello, my name is Mandy Houchins, and I'm in charge of all of the annuity distributions here for our clients at Tony Walker Financial. While it's true that annuities do come with surrender periods, there are ways to access funds from your annuity each year. You can take what's called a penalty-free withdrawal. It is normally equal to 10% of the contract value each year without any penalty. If you're interested in learning more about penalty-free withdrawals, please give me a call. Mandy Houchins.
Well, Heather, we've been talking about our income planning department and the more than 5,000 income plans over the years we've constructed. Tell us a little bit about how long these take to put together and the issue that comes up sometimes when people need those amended or adjusted when major changes come their way.
Absolutely, Tony. So we take great pride in the software we've developed and our income plans. Ideally, we design these plans to kind of stand the test of time. So, when we do have a plan put in place, we're doing that in the mindful that that is going to last through retirement. But however, life gets in the way, and sometimes those plans do need updating.
And give me a few examples of when we will update a plan.
Well, it's a lot of times it's major life events. So, for instance, we've seen a lot of clients, especially recently, being offered early retirement buyouts. So maybe they were planning on working for several more years, but then their employer has offered a buyout. So we want to rework that plan to show an early retirement. Some events are a little more unfortunate with like the loss of a spouse. And a lot of times those need to be reworked just so that surviving spouse knows where those assets are going and how to deploy those for their living expenses. Other things could be a little bit different. Might receive an inheritance or even decide to, if they have rental property and they've decided to sell those out or sell a business, things like that would prompt kind of a reworking of those plans. That does take quite a bit of time, but we're happy to do that for clients at no cost.
Well, Heather, we appreciate so much yourself, Lisa Allerkamp and Leanne Tinsley, who have been diligently working on these plans and taking care of our clients. So thanks again for your time, and you make it a good day.
Thank you. You too, Tony.
You're welcome.
Realizing you are a big part of Tony Walker Financial, I am sure our audience is wondering, what happens to TWF when something happens to you?
This is true. In fact, years ago when I used to host public seminars, this was a frequent question from the audience. At the very end, they would always ask it, what happens to Tony Walker Financial when, not if, when something happens to you? And quite frankly, 10 years ago, I'm not sure if Tony Walker Financial would have survived if something were to happen to me. But now I feel very confident that Tony Walker Financial will survive and thrive whenever I can no longer do what I'm doing right now.
You always say that having a written retirement game plan in place first is more important than the financial product one might choose to invest in for retirement. Why is this written game plan so important?
Well, let me answer your question with a question. Would you ever take a road trip to a far-off destination without a road map? Well, neither should a saver enter the world of retirement without some sort of financial roadmap, which is what I've spent years to perfect. This proprietary software that no other advisor possesses, and I know this, Diane, because I created it. And not only do our clients get this free roadmap, our staff is there to guide savers along the way as changes are going to come their way in retirement. So it's a wonderful thing, and it is proprietary to Tony Walker Financial.
You have nearly 40 years of experience in the field of finance. You've met in person with over 15,000 savers. You've personally overseen more than 5,000 written game plans and have more than 3,000 clients, many of whom are well into retirement age. After all this time and all this experience, what would you say is the biggest mistake retirees make with their money?
Well, this might come as a surprise, Diane, but really I think the biggest mistake all of these savers I've worked with over the years have made is they waited too long to spend and enjoy their money. So I call this phenomenon the three halves of life, and what the financial world has duped savers into thinking that as we get older, we've got to keep saving and saving and saving because one day we're going to need it, right? We might run out of money or we get tossed in a nursing home or whatever. But what I've found in personally working with so many savers is that as they move through retirement and get into what I call the second half of life, in other words, as they get older, they begin to spend less and less money as a consequence of the aging process. So what I would say is, why wait to not spend and enjoy your money now, and don't wait till it's too late? We can help you show you how to do that at Tony Walker Financial. We do this for people all the time, and we want to show you how to use and enjoy that money now versus later.
Let's talk about something you call the onboarding process, that time when a prospective client has gone through your steps, seen the game plan you provide, and then decides to become a client of Tony Walker Financial and wishes to move their money over to your company. That has got to be a daunting task for the saver.
So after we go through our process with prospective clients and see the detail of our planning process and how they can get their things organized, then it is really up to them to decide if they want to move forward. And of course, if they say, well, yeah, I think we're wanting to move forward, one of the first questions when they do decide to move forward is whether or not they're going to have to do all the paperwork. Are they going to have to contact the 401k plan or a prior advisor or something? I mean, these can be uncomfortable moments thinking about doing all this. It's a very daunting task. Here's the bottom line. We take care of all the details, all the paperwork, and we will contact your current custodians, advisors. We'll do it all. We'll handle all of the transfers. We'll take care of everything. You don't worry about that.
Tony, I realize you are well known around the country for your work in annuities. Yet there's more to Tony Walker Financial than just annuities, right?
You're right, Diane. There's much more to what we do than just annuities. In fact, we are a full-service retirement planning firm. We offer stocks, bonds, mutual funds, bank products such as CDs and money markets. We offer those through our Charles Schwab platform. In fact, as of the date of this interview, we have more than 2,000 investment accounts with Charles Schwab, totaling more than $220 million under management. And we do all that in-house at Tony Walker Financial, as well as a world of knowledge that we have in long-term care insurance, life insurance, Medicare supplements, and of course, our expertise in the world of annuities. So yes, we're certainly more than just annuities. Did you realize that if you have more than $250,000 in retirement assets, the government could tax as much as 40% of it when you go to take it out? And with current tax rates set to expire in 2025, the taxes you will owe on your 401k could climb even higher. Don't wait until 2025 to see how much Uncle Sam will take of your money. Get a game plan by logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, 403b, thrift savings account, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government has essentially a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. Tony Walker calls this the 401k tax tumor. For almost 40 years, retirement specialist Tony Walker has helped thousands of savers worry less about money by creating game plans to deal with your tax tumor. Get control of your retirement by controlling the taxes owed on it. Schedule a free meeting to see if you can reduce your tax tumor and provide a guaranteed income you can never outlive. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
My name is Mark Williams, and I've been in the financial services industry for around 30 years now. I'm the CEO and president of Brokers International in Des Moines, Iowa. At Brokers International, to put it simply, we help agencies and financial professionals grow their business. We offer live support, digital tools and services, and several ways to submit both annuity and life insurance applications. Right now, we service around 4,500 financial professionals nationwide. The one thing I continually see with the successful financial professionals that we work with is that they have a repeatable process of doing business and providing service to their customers. Tony Walker is one example of those financial professionals that utilizes a repeatable process. We started providing our services to Tony and his firm a few years ago. I think what makes him so successful is that he's got such a well-oiled machine, a process that he's created himself. In fact, I flew my team out to Kentucky so we could see it face to face how Tony consistently provides that service. When it comes to his process, I found that one thing Tony does really well is hire more service professionals to help him so that he can continue to see and help more people. Tony has figured out that in order to service thousands of clients with top-notch service, you have to have a process, a way to duplicate what you do day in and day out. I'd invite you to give a call to Tony Walker.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. And as we talk about this idea of navigating your way to a worry-free retirement, we thought it might be helpful to come up to what we think are our top 10 items that are going to come up that you're going to have to navigate through. And hopefully you will consider Tony Walker Financial as the person or persons that are going to chart the course for you and help this thing be a worry-free journey. The first thing we got to consider is when to roll over your 401k. One of the biggest decisions you're ever going to make. It's probably most of our clients, it's their biggest asset, and they're getting ready to hand that over to somebody that they're going to have to trust, not just when they retire. Here's the mistake most people make. They get all tantalized and get into this stuff, and then somebody throws a good sales pitch and they roll it over, and then 2 years later they don't know what the heck's going on. That's because they didn't have a game plan. So we are encouraging the following people to consider talking to us before rolling that 401k over to just anybody. Number one, if you're over the age of 59 and a half, even if you're still working, most of the employer plans out there will allow that 401k to be rolled over to an individual IRA with a firm like us. We are set up to do that. Mr. Craig Davis, if you're interested, we can do eligibility calls, we can look into that, and then we can meet to see if it's appropriate for you. Also, someone who's had an old 401k of at least $50,000 or more with a previous employer. So maybe you've already changed jobs. Had a gentleman come in the other day, he had a couple $100,000 at his old employer. They're not doing anything for him. He needs a game plan. So he's going to roll that 401k over to us. Again, there's no cost, no taxes. We'll handle all of it. And then finally, when we're talking about basically 401k plans, that ties in a lot of times to when you want to retire. So many people come to me and they are just scared to death. This idea of going from making a paycheck all their life and now they're going to retire and somehow figure out how to turn that 401k into a paycheck they can never outlive, pretty daunting task. There's taxes, fees, there's the fear of running out of money, there's the required minimum distribution at age 73. There's all these things you have to consider that will affect when you can retire, and we are well equipped at Tony Walker Financial to help navigate that for you. Number three, pension elections. I know most of you don't have pensions anymore, but this is something you need to consider. If you do have a pension available, lump sum, or you're trying to figure out how to take it as what's called an annuity, we can help you think through that. So again, if you have a pension election, before you make that election, we're happy to help. Income planning. There's a lot of talk about income planning. Most people really have not got a lot of experience in income planning. I've personally overseen more than 5,000 written income plans. Folks, we know this world very well. We have an income planning department led by Lisa Allerkamp. That's all she does with her department. We can get those income plans taken care of right away. And if you're a client, if you have changes down the road, we're there to help assist in amending or changing those income plans if it warrants. Whether or not to pay off debt, this is a biggie, whether it's a home, high interest debt, and then if you're going to take money out of a tax-infested 401k to pay off debt, how much is that going to cost? Is it better to keep the debt versus the taxes? We know this world very well. We can help you figure out what debt to pay off and where to get that money from to do it. I love this, Social Security benefit election. Guys, just Google for the fun of it, when to take Social Security. Talking about a lot of different opinions. Folks, there is no way to know when to take Social Security until you first have somebody examine your personal circumstances and get the game plan. I can't emphasize that enough. You got to have the game plan before making that call. Insurance in retirement, a huge issue. Medicare issues, Medicare supplements. Do you want to get a long-term care insurance policy? Do some of these annuities and life insurance policies provide protection for long-term care? Many, many issues to come across. And in fact, these are issues that I usually turn over to my favorite son-in-law who's in charge of that department. So right now we're going to go to Trey Juergens to talk more about the insurance issues and long-term care concerns in retirement.
Yeah, so when it comes to insurance in retirement, it really kind of boils down to life insurance, long-term care insurance, and health insurance, primarily Medicare. With us, of course, we do life insurance. That's making decisions on new policies that you might want to protect against some debts or lost income, whether it's keeping life insurance that you had from your employer. Long-term care insurance, whether it's something you had from an employer or a new policy. They're not as easy to get as they were maybe 10 years ago, but we can come up with quotes on those as well. Lastly, with private health insurance, if you're under the age of 65, we can assist in the income planning to help make sure that you're eligible for subsidies to keep those costs down. When you're over 65, of course, we've got great resources to help with Medicare supplements. If you do have some questions or want to look into insurance, we've got a really great resource, Insurance Made Easy booklet. It's available on the website, or you can order a hard copy.
Next year, you're going to have to navigate at some point. That's right, folks. Hate to break the news to you. We're all going to die. You've got to have some sort of estate plan, and even if it's basic, a simple will, durable powers of attorney, health directives, so somebody's going to know whether to pull the plug on you or leave it plugged in. I mean, folks, you can't go out here without things in writing. Now, at Tony Walker Financial, we'll make sure to set up the beneficiaries the way you want them. Most of the assets we're going to handle will avoid probate. So if you're worried about getting into all these fancy documents, living trust, you're hesitant on those, let's at least talk before you go to the attorney so we can lay out a game plan. Then the attorney, when they do the legal documents, is going to have a better feel for what they think you ought to put in place in terms of what goes in writing. The next one, this is a biggie, housing decisions. My gosh, we have so many clients over the age of 70, and this always comes up. Came up the other day in a meeting. Do you downsize now? What happens when a spouse dies? Are you going to buy a second home? You're going to sell that second home. We can help you think through the many repercussions of the housing decisions that will come your way, whether that's you and you're in your second half of life, or maybe you're an adult child concerned about your parents in their second half of life. We'll be happy to talk to you about that. And finally, planning for that darn tax tumor. Folks, I've often said the 401k, IRAs, 403bs, thrift savings plans, all those things are wonderful savings tools. They are absolutely the worst planning tool a saver could have. And regardless of how much you think you got in that plan, assuming it's a pre-tax account, you don't own all that money. Folks, Uncle Sam has a big portion of it. And assuming these tax laws, when they expire in 2025, go higher or revert back to 2017, which is what they're supposed to do, taxes will go up. So all you're doing is postponing the pain. My thoughts are deal with that tax tumor. And it'll be a little painful at first, but we can show you many alternatives that we use for our clients to help alleviate the pain and put more money in your pocket or leave more money to your heirs when you pass away. So if you're sitting there looking at all these and saying, Tony, I didn't realize all the things I'm going to have to navigate. I don't want to go it alone, and certainly the folks that are working with me now don't have this expertise. How can we get started? That's easy to do. To find out more about our services and talk to me personally, we call this the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. So take advantage of that. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Or if you like, you can call us anytime to arrange that phone call at 877-499-9255. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program. We look forward to seeing you next week on the Worry Free Retirement. But you remember, between now and then, if all else fails, You make it a good one and be worry-free.